Hi everybody, it's me again. This one I just want to talk about some of the things that I typically hear when I'm in the hospital. I can't interact very much, but my ears are still active. It's a demeaning experience, to say the least. I've been going to the same hospital now since 2000. I've only gotten the proper treatment 5 times out of hundreds of trips. They still swear that it's not real, that I don't have it. Hospital's only 5 minutes away, which is very handy when you're that sick. Car rides, ambulance rides are, for me, very difficult. If there's anything left of me mentally after the ride in the car, there's nothing. I'm just kind of a big ball of jello and ooze, just laying in the car waiting to be able to lay back down again. When we get there, they usually know it's me. All they can see is the top of my head and my blue bucket and blankets and the horrible sound of the retching. And even though the treatment's bad, I get brought right back in. They don't leave me in the waiting room. I don't go to a big city hospital, so I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. That's also one reason why we stay, because there's no way I would, there's no way I could last sitting in the waiting room in a chair for hours waiting. I'd be better off at home in my own chair, in my own space. When we get into triage, it's obvious I can't walk. I'm usually curled up in a wheelchair. And they ask me to stand on the scale. They'll argue with me to get on the scale. Like many CVSers, I keep close track of my weight because I can go to bed healthy and wake up the next day not healthy at all. And that night I check my weight again to kind of keep track of how many fluids I lost, basically. When you're throwing up nothing for 18 hours, really the only thing you're going to lose is body weight from the sweating and the retching and the other foul things that happen to our bodies. They ask me my name and my insurance and my medications and what's wrong, and if my other half isn't paying attention, he's not answering those questions for me, and I can't speak, because I know if I speak, I'm going to vomit. For me, as soon as I use my voice box, that triggers, because right here, that urge to vomit never ever goes away during an episode, and right under your breastbone, it never goes away. It's always there until the episode breaks. So speaking is very hard for us, and we often try to avoid it because we know what it's going to cause. So he answers the questions for me and helps me not have to get on the scale. He takes care of the medical paperwork and such, and they'll put me in a room, and I'll lay there sometimes for an hour or two. At home, I can do what they have listed as guzzle and purge. The urge to vomit and the pain gets so bad that a lot of us will drink water or drink something in a large amount and then purge it right out, because as bad as the vomiting and retching is, that's really the only relief throughout the whole episode that you get. Your body is straining and pushing so hard that I think it takes some of the reaction away from your nerve endings. Your brain can't pay attention to your legs and the sweat and the pain and the spinning, because your body is just giving everything it possibly has into the vomiting. They come in and start poking around for veins, which are very hard to get. They move out of the way, they collapse. They're small because of being so dehydrated. I can feel the needle. I really can't do anything but just lay there and give them my hand and hope they hurry and I don't have to vomit. I've been told by people with me at the hospital that it's taken 4 or 5 tries and they just dig and dig and dig. I mean, I'm a patient that I can't argue. I can only groan, and so it feels like they kind of take advantage of that fact. They completely cut me off from any source of water. They figure if your stomach is empty, you're not going to vomit. CVS doesn't work that way. If your stomach is empty, you're just going to start tearing away at your esophagus, and the bile is going to start chewing away at your esophagus and your mouth and your teeth and the sides of your face, and I hear them come in and they ask my other half, you know, what's the matter with me, and he tells them, and they kind of scoff at him because they've never heard of it. That's not real, and he begs and pleads with them to look it up, look up the files from the hospital. I've been going there now for 14 years. I have records of what works and what hasn't worked. He begs them to give me the cocktail that works, which is the IV fluids, heavy doses of IV Zantac for the extreme burning and the extreme onset of extra acid. They give me liquid Zofran, which is supposed to help with the nausea, but it doesn't take it away. And there's a particular pain shot that for some reason knocks me out for a short period of time, but it seems like it resets everything on the inside. The nurses ignore me. At one point, they had taken away my puke bucket, and they had set it across the room, and they left the room and left it on the other side of the room while I was IV'd and the bedposts were up on the sides of the beds because they didn't want me to roll out. I called for a nurse for several minutes, and I couldn't get any help. I vomited on the floor. Finally, I said the words, "I only need 2 minutes," and the nurse was right in. So the feeling of being ignored wasn't fake. They take me down for sonograms, ultrasounds, CAT scans. And they never find anything. They take my blood, and sometimes my pancreas levels come back bad. My kidneys levels will come back bad. My liver levels will come back bad. And as soon as the episode is over, everything is back to normal, and they have no idea what happened. The fact that it takes the one particular shot to make it stop makes them think I'm a junkie and I'm in withdrawals, and that's why I'm there for the shot. So they refuse to give it to me. It was hard when I didn't know what it was, because we couldn't explain to them. I could only tell them, you know, I don't know, but it happens all the time. Now I have a name, and we know what works, and they refuse treatment, and it's very frustrating laying there knowing that you came to the hospital for help and they're going to do anything but that. But you can't avoid the hospital because after only a few hours I'm just so dehydrated that my potassium levels are screwed up. My heart rate is going crazy and then slowing down and going crazy, and the dehydration will force you to the hospital quicker than anything, usually. None of us like to go to the hospital. We're often treated very badly, but it's something that we have to do. I just wish they would take the time to learn about it. I wish they would take the time to listen to us when we go there. I wish it wasn't such a torturous experience, because it's something I have to do. Maybe 2% of the time now I could stay home. The older I get, the worse it is. I could stay home a lot more when I was in my 20s. Now that I am right behind 40, it's not so easy. It's much harder on my body. Really couldn't imagine having this at 60 and 70 years old. It's a living hell now, but I can't imagine what it does to a frailer body. But that's some of what I can remember that goes on in the hours, and I just want to share that because I know for us and our caretakers, the hospital visits are usually the worst. You're being called names, you're being ignored, you're in the worst agony of your life, and you're faking as far as they are concerned. So it's just very frustrating. But from me to you guys, just hang in there. Don't stay home when you're dehydrated like that. It's not safe. Even if they're going to be jerks, go in and get your fluids. It's the only thing that we can do. I mean, so CVSAonline.org. Get your doctor's list, get your information. They have fundraisers, they have walks, they have products for children, they have pupils for children, they have books to help kids understand. They have a lot of resources. So I wish everybody a peaceful and blessed day, and I hope my friends are CVS episode free today.